Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fabulous with Fabio, the talk show that reviews fabulous people and what they're doing to change the world. Yes, business can be ugly, but what if you have all the support and resources you need to make your marketing efforts really profitable? Yes, so my guest today is a fabulous businesswoman, is a fabulous entrepreneur and marketing mentor. She's the founder of Ugli Ventures, and she's here to help you scale your business through her scalable marketing machine. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Victoria Hajjar. How are you, Victoria?
I'm fabulous, Fabio. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. This is going to be a juicy conversation. I hope to provide a lot of value and insights for your listeners.
That's right. And listen, everybody watching, this is raw and authentic as life is. There's no post-production, no editing. This is what you see, is what we recorded live when we're talking. So there's no preparation, no, oh, send me the questions before, nothing like that. It's really raw and authentic. And I only invite to the show people that I know can handle the situation because they are the real deal. So, Victoria, first question. What made you do what you're doing right now? What was the purpose behind what you're doing right now?
Well, Fabio, I started my career what seems like a billion years ago. I had a great opportunity to travel abroad. So I grew up in New York. I grew up in New Jersey. I went to school in New York, and I had this kind of feeling. I think we chatted about this when we first did the pre-call. Was that, I had been my whole life like in this one area, and I was really itching to get out. And so I kind of picked up my bags. I decided I was moving all the way across the world to teach English in China. So I did that and very quickly realized that teaching was not for me. And I was really lucky in that very dynamic city that I was in. I was in Beijing and also in Shanghai, that I came face to face with my very first interaction with entrepreneurs. My parents were entrepreneurial, but these were entrepreneurs that had fundraised, and I was just in awe. My 20 whatever year old self could not understand. This person just gave you X amount of $1 million to go pursue your idea. I was enamored. And so that really began my career working directly with founders and CEOs and investors on bringing these big ideas to life. And the way that my entry point into that was marketing. But what I realized from working with inside these types of businesses, which are usually the founder CEO is leading, they're smaller operations, right? Is that, as an individual that's growth minded, that's so excited, that wants to do their best, in contrast to a larger organization where you're kind of shuffled up this corporate ladder and you're taught how to be the manager and the VP and the director and all those things. You're sort of up leveled at each stage of your career. In these smaller growing businesses, that does not exist. So I really was a struggling marketer for the first many years there. And what really developed out of that was a almost decade long pursuit of really understanding, what does it take to build a profitable sales driven marketing program. And now what I do for CEOs and for their teams is really give them the shortcut I wish that I had. Because I like to say my education was really trial by fire. And there's a lot of really tough investors I came face to face with, and tough founders I came face to face with in tough situations. But that's what developed me. But there wasn't really a way for me to get the information I needed, right? How do you really do all of this stuff, right? In a repeatable way? How do you tell your stories? How do you defend your positions? So this is really, in its essence, what I help businesses do.
Yeah, there's a major thing for us to be successful in life is helping people going from problem to progress, right? So define for us what is the problem you solve and what's the progress you can help your customers achieve.
So the problem that I think most CEOs are facing, and I typically work with B2B CEOs and their
Mhm.
teams, and when they come to me, they're usually coming with a little bit of a bias towards um, attitude towards marketing, right? They
Mhm.
they believe that marketing is just a cost center. They they don't really understand how those marketing efforts connect to ROI. They're not implementing real strategy. And so they can't really even measure or understand what's working, what's not working. And so therefore, they can't account for the ROI of the marketing department. And so the biggest transformation that I help businesses achieve is really building in not only the strategic piece of how do we formalize our brand and brand communication strategy? How do we build a marketing growth strategy that makes sense for our business goals? But at the end of that is how do we set proper KPIs? How do we build scorecards that measure the data that's most important to us? And ultimately, how can we be held accountable to our stakeholders for the value that marketing is bringing into the business? And with that, extraordinary progress can be made. And these growth levers really open up because oftentimes folks that are a little bit afraid to look at marketing or don't understand it and they're not doing much with it, they are really wasting opportunities.
Yeah, I see many people just looking at marketing just as ads, right? Just a lead generation thing. And that's all. They don't see anything else. They just, oh, marketing is something that I do, like ads, to bring possible leads, and that's it. And as you said, they have really hard time to measure their return on investment, except for, okay, how many leads I brought, right? And it's not only that. I study marketing myself. Marketing is much
Yeah.
broader than that, right? So we need to help them see marketing as a strategic tool they can plug into the business, and they need your help to really understand how to put a strategy in place that is aligned, as you said, aligned with the business goals, and how to maintain the strategy running and adapt and improve it and have the return they expect, right? So they see their money going into a money making machine and not like a cost thing, a
Yeah.
necessary evil to run the business, right?
Absolutely. Well, and I also like to flip people's mentality of thinking, marketing, really building a marketing department is really focusing on your entire client or customer life cycle because
Mm.
marketing should hit every piece of that journey,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things I think a lot of CEOs I chat with connect with is this idea of, once we've acquired the client, there are typically so much money being left on the table
Hmm.
because we're not sending those happy customers that we already built that relationship on a journey to maybe up a level or buy another service or product from us. That is not designed in a way that is actually converting folks, right? And oftentimes when we focus only on the lead gen, we only focus
Yeah.
on the front end of the funnel, what often happens is that anyone can understand if you're running ads or you're kind of approaching cold audiences or even slightly warmer audiences. I don't care what you do, the amount of people that are ready to make a decision and purchase within whatever that period of measurement is, right? Honestly, with ads, sometimes we're measuring 3-day attribution, 7-day attribution, 30-day attribution. But sometimes those clients take 6 months or 1 year, right? And we need to be able to design
Yeah.
very intentionally a journey for those folks that are going to warm them up, get them ready to buy with us and take that next step with us. And when we're just looking at lead gen and ads, where it's like A plus B equals C, and oftentimes in this market that there's shifts in terms of economic, political, um, lots of things changing with technology, people maybe become a little bit more hesitant to jump in, make investments. That's where marketing with a longer term lens becomes more and more important
Yeah.
because we don't want to lose those opportunities. We paid to acquire them. And oftentimes we pay to get their eyeballs or their attention. And then we have not intentionally designed anything else on the back end beyond offering them that first opportunity to work with us or trying to get that quick win, that quick purchase.
Yeah.
And buying behavior is quite different.
That's right. Yeah, for me, marketing is working the market, right? So it's
Love
not
that.
just acquiring clients. It's working the market, and your customers or your clients are your market. So once you get the client, right? Once you get the customer inside your company, you're already working with them. You have a great opportunity of working that market that is yours now, right? Uh, let's say blocking the external interferences of life, because now you're working with them. They're already within your ecosystem. You can keep working that client years to come, right? And that client cannot not only buy more from you or buy different things from you, that client can become your referral partner, right?
Absolutely.
I built my business based on that. 95% and 98% of my business came from my current clients giving me connections
Hmm.
to new clients. And
Hmm.
it's been like that for 30 years. So
Yeah.
it's so powerful because once you get that person working with you and trusting you, if you continue to add value to that person, to that company, they will continue working with you as partners now. And this is so powerful, and so many people don't understand that this is all marketing. Sales is marketing, delivery is marketing, the
Yeah.
entire customer journey is
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
working the market, right?
Absolutely. And the difference between, and even if you are someone that innately knows that, but let's say you're running a business where things feel unpredictable, right? You get referrals. Referrals are a tough thing to control. So that's where, for me, I always anchor everything that we do into repeatable systems that are measurable. Because if you can understand the leading and lagging metrics and the in the interrelationship that they play before someone gives you a referral or before we get that happy customer review, whatever, there's often systems that we can put in place that we can consistently be executing on. That's going to, of course, it's not 100% controllable, but at least give us an even keel when it comes to those referrals, because so many B2B business owners that I work with, they come to me and they say, I've been a referral based business for the past 18 years, for example, and that's all well and good until one day it's not, and they go through 6 months with nothing, or 8 months, or 12 months, and nothing's converting and nothing's coming in, and that's often the moment where they say, oh, I should probably do some marketing, right? And at that point, it's very painful because oftentimes you say, okay, I got to make some investments, and I'm going to have to invest the time as well, and getting to wait for some return for this becomes way more painful.
Yeah.
Where for CEOs that have the foresight to say, you know what, we need to be implementing our systems yesterday because we know that builds up compound interest in our brand awareness, right? It's compound interest to our pipeline. There's all these waterfall downstream effects of building a repeatable marketing program that you implement consistently.
Yeah, and to add
And
on that, many people when they say proud, proud, oh, I'm based on referrals. They do not really they don't have a system really. They just wait passively for referrals to come, right? So this is not marketing. This is just hoping, right?
yeah,
Marketing would be having a system that generates referrals consistently, right? Having a
exactly.
system, and we have system to implement this. How you can stimulate referrals at the beginning of the of the customer journey, at the end, at the middle. So several points where you can stimulate referrals. If you are based on referrals, have a system, have a marketing system to stimulate referrals consistently. But not only that, you must have all the elements you can put together in a marketing system so you can uh, generate new leads at the same time you're amplifying your relationship with your current clients, you're generating referrals, and everything has to be in a system, a scalable marketing system, as you say.
Exactly.
So it's so important for people to understand this marketing is not something that you do occasionally when you need some leads. Marketing is part of an ongoing strategy for a business, right?
Absolutely. Let's talk about speaking as part of the marketing strategy, because I think this is a really fun thing to talk about, right? Because speaking is such a wonderful way to get in front of new audiences, build brand awareness, and actually get direct leads, right? And so, what I like to say for folks that want to get speaking opportunities, or they attend conferences, or they attend networking events, This is something that, again, when we look at leading and lagging metrics, this is obvious, but so few people do it. We need a system that's tracking, okay, let's set a KPI for ourselves. We need one speaking opportunity per month. We need to attend 10 networking events per month. We need one big conference per quarter. These are the leading indicators, the leading metrics that are going to get us those goals. And then on top of that, we need to be tracking the results from each of those efforts so we can understand speaking with this group produced this many leads. Speaking at this, being at this conference gave us this much ROI because it cost this much to get. So really mapping out all of the individual activities that you're doing and getting somewhat of a benchmark baseline for what the production is. And then being able to be more choosy about the things that you do and don't do, because now you understand what the results are going to be. Now, once you build that, again, we need to build a whole system on the back end of that to be able to escort those new leads into our world, warm them up, build the trust, and get them to take the next step with us, right? There's going to be a few people that are ready right away, but the vast majority are not. And as we get more sophisticated with our marketing, we get to design specific funnels or journeys for people to come into our world from, depending on what we're doing, right? And that's how nuanced and how much depth there is to marketing. And so what I say to CEOs that are interested in really activating this into their marketing department is, we have to kind of first start with the base layer, right? And really understand the most essential pieces of, what is our main way that we're bringing people into our world? What is the main channel? And set up a system that gets leads consistently from that channel. We really want to figure out one channel before we start building out a bunch of different channels. Because another big problem I see that causes frustration in marketing is we're building way too many channels at the same time and trying to cover so much ground that we actually haven't gotten our systems down where we have some kind of predictability in the production of one channel before we jump to the next. So we actually never give enough time, energy, or attention to making one channel work before we jump to the next. And each time we open a new channel and a new sales funnel and a new whatever it is, we're diluting the energy and the attention of our team as well. So that's one of the biggest tips I would say is really make sure that you figured out one really good channel that works, that's predictable, almost on autopilot before you really start opening up the other channels, because those other channels could be just distractions.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. And I believe people do that because as they are not sure which one is going to work, right? They don't know. They keep trying
Exactly.
several things to see if one of them will work, right?
Yes.
But when they have that approach, nothing will really work because they never really get good at anything, right? It, it's like starting five different sports all together and trying to be excellence
Be
in order to
excellent in
be
everything. I
in
think people
everything.
do this a lot with social media, right? And they sort of think, you know what, I'm going to be on 5 social channels. We're going to just cross promote all of the content across all of them. But what the reality is that in order to actually get production out of any one of those channels, the amount of just being dialed in and understanding the algorithm, the way that the content is formulated, spending time doing all of the operational pieces of that social channel, meaning interacting, engaging with other people, with prospects, content, sending direct messages, all that stuff. To do it well takes a lot of energy, effort, and time. And so what happens is if you're spreading yourself thin across all the channels and doing a little bit here or there or there, you're going to spin your wheels for years, right? Now, again, if you have the budget to really get folks focused on each one of the channels, great. But if you're functioning with a lean team, I would say let's start with the basics, right? One channel, one offer, one segment of audience, right? And get that repeated and dialed in until it's consistently producing for you. And oftentimes with just one channel, one kind of offer, and one audience, you can get to, or the goal should be getting to 1 million in revenue annually with that one segment before really moving in to do other stuff. Because that's what's possible. You haven't
Yeah.
exhausted the opportunities with one channel, one offer, one audience. And what happens with marketing when you stick on one problem, you get better. Marketing is it's an art and a science, right? We have to experiment. We actually have to change. It changes so fast. So if you really can become very skilled in getting production from that, one channel, one offer, one segment, then you'll have that in place so well that you're ready to kind of open up and work on the next thing,
Then you
right?
can relax and enjoy the results of that, and then you can go to the second initiative more confident, right?
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, Victoria. This, when you say it, right, it seems so clear, so obvious, right? That we
Yeah.
could almost say, well, it's common sense, right? Why people don't do this way? Why do you think people ignore this common sense and just keep shooting in all places at the same time?
Well, I think you can relate, right? Because even, if someone's going to sit and write a speech, right, or to prepare for a speaking opportunity, I think that you can step back and see, some kind of obvious things like on how to create a story or what, experiences to kind of leverage to put in a story. But because you come in with a different perspective, I think it's very difficult to understand when you're in it. I think you can bear, it's hard to see the forest from the trees, right? So I think many CEOs and founders get stuck in this trap. And the other thing that contributes to this when it comes to marketing is I believe the core of it is really comes from a scarcity mindset
Mhm.
because, and I experienced this in my own business, and maybe you've experienced this as well. I understand the power of niche. I understand the power of one avatar, right? One channel, one audience, one offer. But when you're actually the entrepreneur, you see so many possibilities. And that is a beautiful thing because entrepreneurs were often visionaries. But when it comes to marketing and sales, especially in this extremely saturated market, every vertical is extremely saturated with just how
Mhm.
easy it is to create a business and how lucky we are to be in the US and how easy, it is to be an entrepreneur, right? But to get traction, I think we have to have that focus. And when we're in it and we see all the possibilities and it feels so easy, it's like, oh, that person needs that. We can just like actually create that. That won't take so long. But it's almost this idea of you lose the focus and then it actually may only take like an hour to produce that thing or do it in a different way or change the proposal or whatever it may be. But there's reverberations throughout all of the team and
Mhm.
just throwing, I think, folks off course where we think as entrepreneurs, oh, we're iterating and improving and we're shifting things and we're kind of moving with the market or whatever. But sometimes without perspective, that can move us really far in the wrong direction and
Yeah.
we lose hindsight.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
see. I
that's
see what
that's
you mean.
why people don't do it. I think when you're in it, you see all the possibilities and you want to capture all of them because it feels like the vastness of all the direction you can go in actually equals revenue. But the opposite is true. As you start diversifying your product suite and getting into different segments and all this, you really, really dilute the how far your budget can go, how far the time budget of the focus of your team can go, right? You need more and more resources to do things well. And again, we know if you're not speaking to, if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. And I think it's very hard to see that when you're inside of it.
Yeah, that's why people need someone from outside. Like when you are in the middle of in the eye of the hurricane, you don't see anything clearly. But if you're away from the hurricane, just coming from outside, you see it, the
Yeah.
direction and everything.
Yeah.
So that's why we consultants are so important. And, more people should see that. Until now, nowadays, 2025, some entrepreneurs still see consultants as an expense they need every now and then, right?
Mhm.
But in the world we're living in, maybe they need a consultant all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone with a outside perspective, right? With a clean view of what's going on and bringing experience and expertise from all the other projects, right? Because they are in one company. Every entrepreneur is in their own company, one or
Yeah.
two or three, but we deal with hundreds of different companies, right? So we bring different perspectives and we
Yeah.
have seen so many mistakes, right? Then when we
Yeah.
come to help one company, we bring this immense background of experiences, trial and error. Then we can help them save time and money and be more focused and get better results faster,
Yeah.
right? Keeping them on the right track. So,
But I can even tell you like, and I will be very honest, when I go into other businesses, for me, it feels like, that movie, A Beautiful Mind, like doing like the math problems. To me,
yeah.
it's so obvious to me, the brand communication, the strategy, the marketing growth strategy, the team strategy, the leadership strategy. These are the four playbooks I help the businesses create, and it's glaringly obvious to me. Like I can see it so 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 clearly. It makes so much sense. For my own business, it is far more difficult, and this is what I do every day for the past 10, 15 years I've been doing this. I think the other piece of the puzzle with that is the emotion that we bring, and a little bit of the attachment that we get with investments we've made, for example. Like sometimes, like a good example is I've been involved with a couple entrepreneurs that hire me in the middle of a rebrand. So they started a rebrand without doing any of the essential foundational work. They just want a new logo, right? And oftentimes it's very painful to say, okay, I've already sunk X amount of $1,000 into developing this thing. I can see that it's totally the wrong direction now from all of the work that we've done together, right? We really have, cleared out the cobwebs. We see things so clearly. And it's a very tough decision to leave behind it's that sunken cost fallacy, right? It's kind of like we give a lot of value to things that we've already paid for, even if it's not going to service in the future, right? Or strategies or agencies we've paid for. It's sometimes we hold out hope that all the pieces are going to come together, and it's a hard decision often to say, okay, this was a learning experience. It may be a 10K learning experience or a 100K learning experience, but you have to have the strength to move forward in the direction is going to get you to your goals. That's part of the bravery of entrepreneurship.
This is so true. This is so true. And you said something that I want everybody listening to pay attention and maybe replay it. We get attached to the expenses we have incurred already. We get attached to the costs we have had in the past, even if they're not serving us anymore, just because we spent the money. But as you said, see it as a learning experience. See it as a course. Let's say you took a course that cost you $100,000. But the only way to make that course worthwhile is, okay, what have I learned? And then I learned, I'll move into the right direction. So it doesn't matter how much money you spent if you continue going to the wrong direction. But if you have the bravery to change and make decisions, make tough decisions, and detach from things that are not working or serving you anymore, and then you go into the right direction now, every penny you spent was worthy because now you know what to do,
Yes.
right? So there was a expensive course, but now you learned the lesson and you're gonna really take advantage of this learning to move forward.
Yeah. And the other thing I can say about this is, as CEOs, as leaders, as founders, we're always trying to get to like the next level of the video game. And what I can tell you from working with founders that have built, 7, 8, even 9-figure businesses is that the ones that understand that, and the ones that again can get, and all of these very high achieving CEOs that I've worked with all have, by the way, outside counsel, consultants, their own coaches. I mean, right? Because they want to operate at elite level. the ones that have that outside perspective and make quick decisions, right? Because the reality is there are always going to be problems. One entrepreneur that I worked with, who is an incredible business teacher, Dan Martell, he he always would say to I was on his team back in 2021. I was working as an interim fractional CMO for him. But he would always say, if your systems aren't breaking every 6 months, you're not growing. And when I heard that, I felt such relief because if you want to continue to grow to new heights in your business, you have to take that as par for the course. Things are going to break. You're going to make mistakes.
Mhm.
But how quickly you can stand up, brush yourself off, and move forward and move ahead, the quicker you're going to get to the next level of the video game. And guess what? There's going to be always a new bad guy to fight. There's going to always be another level to reach until you decide that you don't want to grow anymore, which some people do, or they want to retire, they want to sell. But again, it's always a process.
Yeah, I like that. So I believe by now it's very clear to our listeners and everybody watching, more or less what you can do for businesses, right? So you really help business get clarity about what is marketing, what is the right direction to follow, what are the best systems to put into place so they can really scale their businesses with less stress, with less effort, saving time and money in the process, right? Have I summarized well, more or less,
Yeah,
what you
so
do?
so the difference between what I do and a marketing agency. So my company, Ugly Ventures, we place marketing leadership inside growing and scaling businesses.
Mm,
And we essentially are helping to build a profitable marketing department. So
okay.
we're so focused and passionate about building the infrastructure into these companies, building the operating systems, building the SOPs, hiring the right people, and leading those people to success. That for me is a sustainable solution, right? And building that infrastructure to the point where, and the end goal is not to be with these companies on forever retainers. The end goal is to increase the revenue and get to the point where they can put a permanent marketing director in place, because ultimately that's what's needed for a business. Um, where as opposed to marketing agencies often don't have that kind of investment in the business. They're not building the frameworks and the infrastructure so the business can be running independently of them, right?
Yeah,
And I think that can be kind of dangerous.
yeah, they're just like service providers, right? Doing things for the company, but without
Absolutely.
the skin in the game to really make decisions that will help the company in the long run, right?
You need the company to be sustainable on their own, right?
Yeah.
If have you ever heard that phrase, like a really good employee will work themselves out of a job because they put in the right systems, the right processes, the right strategies, doesn't matter what department you're in. And the idea is working yourself out of a job. So you could rise up that corporate ladder, right? But
You
because
can be
you've
free
done
to, yeah, to other projects. Yeah.
exactly. And so that's a philosophy that we live by, right? We want to get the infrastructure, but then that the company has the confidence that this is going to be successful, not dependent on one person or one agency. It's because we have the proper systems, strategy, the organization, we documentation, SOPs, we onboard people in the right way, we understand the kind of team that we need. And so that's sort of I think the biggest gift that we want to give to our clients. Now, the other way that so that's what we do holistically. We do that in two ways. We're either implementing a marketing leader to execute all of that for the client, right? And be the leader and lead the team and oftentimes even building the team. The other way that we do that is by up leveling their existing team. So just like I was in the beginning of my career, a hungry, growth minded, really wanted to do well, really wanted to get to the next level, and I didn't really have a development path. We have an accelerator program where if you're thinking, I have, Katie or Mark, and they've been with me for 5 years or 7 years, and they've been really working hard, but they're not getting me these results. And I'm not particularly interested in hiring a marketing director just yet for 200K a year, something like that. You know that this person has potential, but you don't know how to get it out of them. That's where our accelerator comes into place. We're running the same exact systems, but in that scenario, we're teaching your marketer and up leveling them how to implement that infrastructure into your marketing department and become the real true leader that you need.
Perfect, perfect. So one way or the other, you helping businesses getting more professional in their marketing efforts so they get more return on investment for everything they do.
ROI driven marketing departments. That's what we build. Yeah.
Before we can tell people how to get in contact with you and get more information about what you do, I want to know a little bit more about you as a person, as the founder of Ugly Ventures, right? So please share with us three key values you have in life for you as a person.
For me, it's about growth minded. That's been, I think, the thing that attracted me to being an entrepreneur in the first place. I have an insatiable curiosity and hunger to learn. And so I come, you know, with running my company and working with clients, I always come with that curiosity. And why I love marketing, I love that it's always changing. I love that, yes, I have systems and frameworks that are are evergreen, right? These are the principles of marketing stay the same, but the tactics change. And so I love that. So I think growth is my number one value. And family. I have two small sons and a little dog and my husband, and we're very, very close. And I think that drives a lot of what I do. And we have, for those listening, we will be physically together on Saturday, and you're going to get to meet us because we're going to be in a gala together. And the third is health. Like, I think one of the beautiful things about building something for yourself, and I know a lot of your listeners that are thinking about speaking, it's because they're building a personal brand. I think that is the most important thing that you can do, especially with what the future holds for all of us with AI. I think building something for yourself and ultimately giving yourself time to create your own schedule to do things like stay healthy, eat well. These things are often things that get thrown to the wayside when we are forced to be in an office for 8 hours a day, sitting behind a desk. We don't have that freedom. I think ultimately the highest value of having my own business is being able to get those workouts in and eat healthy and really treat my body as a temple, because ultimately that dictates so much of your value, the quality of your life. Because without that, you have nothing, right?
That's right. We are factories of ideas, we are factories of feelings, we are factories of thoughts. And if the factory is not working fine, of course, everything we are producing is not of high quality, including time with family or time with ourselves.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
Listen, let's say you have just 1 minute, right? And I'm gonna time you on that.
Okay.
Let's say this is the last broadcasting on the planet,
Oh, wow.
and you have 1 minute to talk to 8 billion people out there, and you want to leave a message that will make them more ready for the next life coming, right? In terms of how to live and run their businesses. Because when we're talking about business, most people try to separate business from life, but it's all the same thing, right? We run our businesses so we can have better lives. We can, uh, let's say, contribute to society in a special way. We want to leave our mark anyway. So it's not separate things, it's the same thing. So if you have 1 minute to leave your message about marketing or how to run businesses to be happier, whatever, healthier, and you have 1 minute to do so. So what would be the message? So I'm going to time you on that. Let me see if you're able to do that in 1 minute. Okay? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay. Through my 10, 15 years of entrepreneurship, I can say with full confidence that the most important thing in your life and in your business is having the experience of joy. Because this is ultimately the day to day feelings that you have, whether it's your 10 o'clock meeting or doing the laundry at the end of the day or whatever it is, these minute to minute experiences are the sum of that is your life. And so operating from a place of joy it's something that we have a lot of control over. Our point of view of what we're doing in the situation that we're in, we have a lot of control over it. And if we can be biased towards finding happiness and joy in everything that we do, we're going to live a happy life.
That was perfect. 55 seconds.
Perfect.
All right. Now, second challenge.
Yes.
Now you are in front of a big audience of your ideal clients.
Yes.
Okay. The clients you dream about. And you have, it's the new life already. Everybody is purified. Everybody's in the right place with your first message, let's say. Now you have the second opportunity in the new life of telling this clients, ideal clients of yours, how they can use marketing to
Mm.
put more joy into their lives and businesses.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
Okay, so for many CEOs and founders, sales and marketing is the biggest source of anxiety and frustration because we know when sales and marketing are pumping, the downstream effects of that is nothing but happiness and positivity and a lot of hope for the future, right? If we have leads and we are making sales, we have revenue. Now, it is oftentimes viewed as an ugly, undesirable part of business because it causes that frustration. But from what I've been doing and helping clients with for all of my years of business, and I believe very strongly, is organizing, systemizing, and strategizing your marketing department and building what I call a scalable marketing machine, right? Repeatable systems that you can measure, iterate, and improve upon is the key to unlocking that sustainable growth. And so thinking about marketing not just as a reactive center of your business, but more as a systemized place in your business will turn that frustration into joy. That was probably a little bit longer than a minute.
1 minute and 7 seconds. That's all right. Perfect. Very well done. So it's much, much clearer for everybody what you're trying to accomplish here. Mhm. You know, I've been talking to several marketing mentors or marketing experts throughout the years, as you can imagine, right? Being graduating in marketing myself and being a professional speaker and business consultant for 30 years, of course, I've run into several marketing agencies and marketing experts and so on. What I really like about you, Victoria, and I want to everybody to know this, is that many marketing experts, they behave like they know it all. They behave like they are the gurus. They behave like they are a different kind of breed. And many of them kind of fake I don't need this anymore. It's kind of sad. But you bring this passion about this, about what you're doing. You bring this commitment to improve the lives of your clients. And it's beautiful to see, it's beautiful to see how pure and intense you are in what you're doing. Yeah, I can really feel in everything you do, not only when you're talking to me, but through your website, we can feel like you love what you're doing. You're doing it with purpose. So I really commend you for that. I want everybody to realize that it's you are one of the few special marketing professionals I have encountered in my life.
Thank you so, so much. I really feel that and I take that in because I think that when you go to fix a problem like sales and marketing, right? And you're trying to solve a revenue problem for CEOs, listen, being a founder CEO, it's really difficult. Entrepreneurship is not an easy path. And so oftentimes this solving this problem and working hand in hand with these clients to build a better future for their business and ultimately even for themselves and their families. To me, it's something that I take very seriously. And I think that each business is unique in the sense that, the exact answers, again, there's things that stay consistent, right? In building that infrastructure. But I always defer to my clients or their sales teams or their existing teams in there because they're the ones that are face to face with the clients. They're the ones, the CS team are the one understanding the pain points. The sales teams are the one understanding those objections, all of these things, and everyone has something to bring to the table. And so to think that one person can come and just lay down a strategy. And I know that there are other consultants that work with like that. And oftentimes there's a lot of grief, that is felt through the team. But I think that I come really with a deep remembrance, like in my soul, of being that marketing assistant and that marketing manager, just trying the darn best and really, really wanting to succeed and not having the tools. And so it brings me so much joy. I think the most gratifying piece of what I do is the teaching part, which is a little bit ironic because I started, teaching English, and that's sort of what set me on this trip across the world and got me ultimately into marketing because I decided I didn't like teaching. But the full circle thing is that everything that I do is teaching,
Yeah.
right? Same with you. Same with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I always believe in that. In this 30 years, I have served 300 different organizations, and I like to be the enabler, not the replacement,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
one that helps people develop and grow. And as you said, because people want to do a good job, people want to do great. So, and sometimes they don't have the knowledge or the inspiration or the tools to do it. So when we come and help them grow and feel empowered and feel knowledgeable and now they know how to do things, right? We really transform that organization. When we leave, they know how to proceed on their own. They know how to keep growing. So they're not dependent on us. They like our help, but they don't feel like we are replacing them. They don't feel like we are better than them. They feel like we are helping them. We are partners
That we're
and
being
grow in
allies.
growth. And that's
Yeah.
the best feeling for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's so fun about what we do, right? We become an ally for the marketers and help to translate all that they're doing and all of their effort to CEOs. And we're also the ally to the CEOs because we hold high standards. We give folks the tools they need to up level and achieve. And if we discover that that's not the right fit or it's not the right person in the right seat, oftentimes that's a decision that's probably best for everyone. But for those that do have what it takes and they really do want to get to that next level, oftentimes is that they need that development, right? And whether they're in our accelerator program or we're putting a marketing leader there, that's what we do for the team is kind of get that next level to happen.
Perfect. Victoria, please share with us if people want to know more and get in contact with you, what is the steps, the next step they need
Well,
to take?
I would love anyone to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I spend most of my time. So, Victoria Hajjar, as you mentioned at the top, Hajjar. But if you're sitting there thinking, I believe I can get more out of my marketing department. I believe that I'm not maximizing this resource. I'm not utilizing them. I don't actually know how to. I have a small resource for you. It's an assessment. If you go to Ugli Ventures, so it's ugly with an I, so ugliventures.com/assessment. It's a 5-minute assessment. It's going to take you through 10 questions and it's going to give you a clear understanding of where some of the opportunities with your marketing department and your marketing leadership that perhaps you haven't been capitalizing on, right? And if that's interesting to you, there's several ways that we can kind of help fill in those gaps. But even at the very least, getting the assessment really sheds a lot of light and will help to activate you and your team to sort of help fill in some of those missing pieces, and you can get started on your own.
Perfect. And of course, for you guys watching or listening, these links to her LinkedIn profile and to the website or the assessment will be in the description of the video in YouTube. So if you're listening in Spotify or Apple podcast, go to the YouTube channel, the podcast talk show there, and you're gonna see in the description of the video all the links so you can click and go directly to the right place and find solutions you need. All right. So, Victoria, please share with us your last message in this interview. Of course, not your last message, it's just for this interview. And maybe in the future, I'll have you again here as a special guest. But for now, what is your hope message for guys listening before I close the show today?
Oh, I think if there's one message I can get through to the audiences, marketing does not have to be a reactive function. I think what often happens is, marketing's not doing a lot or kind of underperforming in their eyes, and then something comes up like a conference or an event or something, and then everyone is on level 12, and you get a very stressful and kind of anxious periods of time, and you kind of function in those ways, right? The sales team needs this like yesterday, and everyone's kind of scrambling. And I'm telling you, there's a better way. And the path to that is organization, it's systems, and it's strategy. Because we're running marketing, we're not curing cancer. And we absolutely, with a good plan, we can do things, not only do them in a well paced out time, but when we do things in that way, the quality of everything we do becomes much, much better. So I think that there's a huge opportunity there. Again, really focusing on the department as any other department that we have, and asking ourselves, why do we kind of view this department differently, right? Or we're measuring it differently or holding it accountable in a different way than other departments. I think that there's a lot of mystery sometimes clouded in the marketing function of the business. And so it doesn't have to be that way.
All right. So thank you again, Victoria, for coming to the show. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Fabulous with Fabio, bringing fabulous people to the show to help us be fabulous ourselves. Remember, you don't have to figure it out all by yourself. You have to do it all by yourself. You can do it with the help of fabulous people. And that's why we're here, to help you find new ways, better ways to find joy in everything you do. So stay tuned for our next episode. And remember, you can be fabulous if you believe you can be so. So this is Fabulous with Fabio, wishing you health and wealth always. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.